Thank you very much. Thank you, I've never had an introduction before, so I really appreciate it. Dr. Collins, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It truly is, and we've had a chance to. I've got a chance to get to know many of you through various and sundry other business circles, and I know how important the Rotary is here in Charlotte. I was just speaking to the Durham Rotary yesterday, similar type of gathering, and the important work that you folks do is incredible. Thank you for everything, and I've had a chance to move around to a lot of Rotaries over the country. And looking at this group, I can't help but know and fully understand how important this group has been to the incredible growth going on around Charlotte. So congratulations and thank you for all you do. Let me start by thanking Jeff Brown for coming today. Jeff is one of our trustees and is a big supporter, very integral to how we do our business on a day-to-day basis. And thank you for your collaboration and your partnership. And Mr. McMahon, thank you for your work as a governor, Florida governor, and working closely with the trustees. These are really important relationships and important times for us to have your support, and thank you for that. By way of introduction, and that was remarkable, I wish my mother was here. I'm from Lexington, North Carolina, although I don't have the accent anymore. I was born in Lexington. My father joined the Navy. I moved around the world, came back into high school. I've had my biggest heartbreaks were in Charlotte. 3 years high school football, we lost to Charlotte Catholic in the state 2A championships every year. So it was like brutal. But I still come back to Charlotte with warm memories. I have a lot I want to share with you today, and I think the best way for me to construct this is to talk a little bit about what we're doing and some of the challenges we've had, and some of the great things that we've been doing as well, and then open it up to questions, because that's typically where we have the best dialogue and the best opportunity for me to give you more context and more detail around some of the things that are happening in Chapel Hill, and I'm happy to talk to you about just about everything. First of all, I know that for many of you, you know Carolina has a long and very broad relationship here in Charlotte, and I just want to highlight a few of those things because many of you don't get a chance to step back and take stock sometimes. First of all, UNC School of Medicine has a satellite campus in Charlotte in partnership with the Carolina's healthcare system. You know that is a very big relationship for us, and we're really grateful for an opportunity to train more physicians in this area. We also have 8 recent UNC Chapel Hill graduates working in high schools across Mecklenburg County as part of the Carolina College Advising Corps. Do you know much about that? Have you heard about it? It's a really incredible program where we take students from Carolina who have had help themselves getting into Carolina and making it through Carolina through a lot of support. We send them back out into high schools where they get a chance to work with other students who are looking for help and guidance and how to go through the whole process of applying to a college exam or first year college students themselves. It's a great program. It's very robust here in this area, and we're very proud of it. I also wanted to say, in recognizing we have our friends here from UNC Charlotte, great relationship with our state university partners around the state. We have great partnerships already in place, but here with the community colleges, we also have our C-STEP program. C-STEP is another one of these incredible initiatives that allows us to take and help transfer students from community colleges and bring them into Carolina. It's another gateway, another pathway into a great public institution here in North Carolina, and it's just another one of those threads in the fabric that is always being knit with the state of North Carolina and Chapel Hill. I also wanted to point out that over the past year, I know many of you have had an opportunity to read about Carolina, and chances are, if you've been reading about Carolina, you've seen the name Chancellor Carol Folt come up a great deal. If we could move to the next slide, please. That is my boss. One of the reasons I came here, and many people in our profession will say, well, did you know what you were getting yourself into when you took this job? The fact of the matter is, I did, and she's a big reason why I came here. I'm a Carolina grad. I'm from North Carolina. I had a great career outside of the university and was very content in the direction I was going in. But I sat down with Carol, and I spent several hours listening to her vision for what she wanted to do at the university. And it was a transformational experience for me. It truly was. I mean, I knew we were walking into a tough year. I had no idea it was going to be as tough as it was, but I've never worked with somebody who had the leadership, the strength, the determination, the true north, to lead us through a tough time. And if you're a university graduate, I think you can be really proud of your chancellor. I can't think of a better person to lead us right now. And I've worked with some incredible CEOs in my career. I was with the Walt Disney Company for 10 years. I had a chance to work with Michael Eisner. General Motors was one of my big clients in my most recent agency stop. Worked with them through bankruptcies and coming out of bankruptcies, and saw some real strong leadership throughout those times. But I can tell you, Carol is up to the task. All the things that I'm talking to you about today, she has a hand in it on a day-to-day basis, and that's leadership. And I think where we're going is very exciting. We have a lot ahead of us, a lot of challenges, but we're going to be facing all those head on. So a lot of times I also am asked with, so how do you rally your base at a time that's so challenging? We've gone through 220 plus years as an institution and have endured and survived through incredible transformation and change in this country. The Civil War, Reconstruction, the Depression, World War II, post-war, and the incredible growth that happened in this state in the 60s and 70s and beyond. But this has certainly been a challenging time, and if you're an alum, and I hear it all the time in small talk, it's like, wow, how do we survive the last 4.5 years? How do we rally? And one of the first tasks I had was to try to find that rally point for our university, for our graduates and our supporters. And I had a small window of opportunity with the broadcast, football and basketball broadcasts that we do. Our rights partners give us a 30-second window to produce a spot, an ad that could air, usually at the start of halftime. That's an opportunity you get to present your brand. Otherwise, we don't do a lot of branding, a lot of brand advertising in higher education. As I was going through my research and talking to alums and supporters and students, one thing that kept coming back to me was, we have a unique relationship with our campus. It is special to us. It's a place. It's geography. It is buildings. It is emotion, and it's probably been best captured in the words of a longtime newsman, Charles Curran, who's a graduate of the university. On University Day 20 plus years ago, he read a poem that he'd written about the university. My predecessor, somebody along the way, thought it would be great to incorporate that into an ad. And so 20-some years ago, they ran an ad that included Charles Curran's words. And as I looked at that spot, I thought, wow, how appropriate. Charles Curran speaking to us today and talking about how special this place is. That hasn't changed despite all these challenges, but the campus has changed. It has grown, it's expanded. We're a more diverse place today, and that was not captured in that spot. So we went back, and instead of creating something totally new, we went back and did something very old and updated that I thought really captured the moment. It's been really positively received. And so if you haven't seen it, I want to take 30 seconds and share it with you now.
What is it that binds us to this place as to no other?
It is not the well,
or the bell,
or the stone walls,
or the crisp October nights,
or the memory of dogwoods blooming.
Our love for this place is based on the fact that it is,
as it was meant to be,
the University of the People.
So my trivia question for those of you who are big Carolina fans, did you recognize, other than Charles Curran, did you recognize another celebrity voice in there? We had a lot of people who wanted to have an opportunity to be represented. We had Hubert Davis, one of our basketball coaches. He's a former player at Carolina. And Hubert really captured a lot of the emotion of talking about coming back to Carolina. He too came back at a time when the university was going through great change. And Hubert just looked me in the eye and he said, "This is my university. If you take away all the basketball and you take away the athletic enterprise, this campus means something. The classroom experience, my experience with students, these are all very important." So we wanted to make sure that we captured the emotion of that, because despite all of our challenges, great things continue to happen at Carolina. And these are part of our narrative. Just like the bad things and the challenges, they're part of our narrative too. But all of these things create the Carolina brand that it is today. So if you'll go to the next one, please. For the 14th straight time, last month we were named the Kiplinger's Best Value among publics. That does not come just because we remain an affordable university. We are proud of the access and affordability that we provide to the people of North Carolina. But it also represents the quality of our faculty. It represents the quality of the research that goes on every day among our faculty and students. It is the entire package that Kiplinger's looks at before they make those decisions. So that's not an easy task to do it 14 times, and it's really 14 consecutive years. We take a lot of pride in that because so much goes into maintaining that high quality that they come to expect and would demand in their evaluation process. Part of that, when we talk about affordability and accessibility, is embodied in the Carolina Covenant. If you're not familiar with the Carolina Covenant, it is one of the last public education initiatives that creates need-blind, full-need access to people who otherwise may not have a chance at a global, high-quality education. Carolina has remained committed to it for 10 years, and despite all the ongoing budget challenges that all publics are facing, and where it's been easy to drop initiatives like this, it's a big ticket, we remain committed and will remain committed to ensuring that we continue to provide that type of access. Because when we say we're a university of the people, we don't mean we're a university of the people who can afford it, who otherwise come from backgrounds that provide them with the very best opportunities. We want to make sure that we are a university of all the people, so that anybody in the state of North Carolina who deserves an opportunity to come to Carolina gets that chance. And we're really proud of what the Covenant represents. It's 10th anniversary. So much of Carolina's work, though, really manifests not just in the graduates we produce, but in the work that they do and our researchers do on campus. That's not always going to be a headline. I often say to people, one of the reasons why we're so passionate about sports is that there are 300 channels that cover sports. There's a section in the newspaper that covers sports, and just countless other blogs and areas where you can get your appetite filled with sports conversation. But nobody really provides all that type of coverage when it comes to research. Yet that is really the heartbeat of what we do at Carolina, and it's so vital, not just to what we do at UNC, but to the residents of the state of North Carolina, and to a global population that depends on our researchers to help solve some really serious issues that are taking place around the world that, of course, has implications right here back in North Carolina. Last year, our faculty brought in $790 million in research. That is up $15 million from the previous year. That's hard work. You don't get those types of funds unless you are doing great work. A lot of that comes from federal and NIH grants. But that really fuels the research enterprise on our campus and drives so many important developments that are happening every day. But it also takes commitment from individuals who see something bigger and who are willing to do something incredible to change a conversation instantly, up the ante, accelerate change and innovation, and do something really big that inspires others. And that's what we had happen with a recent gift from Dr. Fred Eshelman. Fred Eshelman has his name on the Eshelman School of Pharmacy, and he could have stopped right there and it would have been remarkable. But Dr. Eshelman gave us $100 million to do more special work. And through his generous gift, he is going to allow us to accelerate integrated medicine like we've never had it before. He is focused on helping to solve global problems, problems that are affecting the people here in the state, creating businesses that are going to help solve those challenges in a faster way, and creating new opportunities that aren't just going to solve problems, but will generate jobs and help drive the economy, and it's important work. Dr. Eshelman is one of many people every day who do something special at the university, but certainly that gift stands out. It's the largest private gift we've ever had at Carolina. Thank you. And, you know, when we talk about startups, if you have children who are either in college or recent graduates, or they're evaluating schools right now, I would be surprised if they haven't talked about, in some form or fashion, a business they want to start. Our research continues to show that this generation, the generation that is now entering college and is be graduating in just a matter of years, are focused on driving change and creating their own businesses. And I think it's really important for you to recognize that we have many different ways for students to see that vision for themselves and to follow and pursue that through many different challenges. Of course, you know, we created businesses like Quintiles. We've helped People establish brewing companies, which are also important to local economies. But 150 startups have come out of Carolina. It's a big part of our future. Research and innovation are going to be two words that really drive change in Carolina. When you think about the Research Triangle Park, and you think about the relationship we have with Duke, Carolina, and State, think also about the important work that's being done here in Charlotte. You can see Charlotte being a big part of that. And we see ourselves in a very different way. I think in the past, where the UNC system might have seen competition, you're seeing a lot more collaboration. And again, Chancellor Folt, very focused on how those things can be realized more quickly to drive change, and a big part of that is how we can help stimulate the economy in those marketplaces. So that brings me to Ken Weinstein. Now when I say the Weinstein report, it normally immediately conjures up many different images. When I say the Weinstein report, show of hands, do you know what I'm talking about? Does everybody have some general background? So I can't get into all the details because it would take me hours, and I'm sure many of you would take that time if I would give it to you, but I want to be brief, and then again, I'll leave more context to questions. For 4.5 years, you know, we really tried to understand fully what happened during a time that had a lot of holes and a lot of misunderstanding and an inability to fully recognize what happened. I think internal reports got as far as they could. Governor Martin in the Martin report went as far as he could, but Governor Martin did not have access to two key participants, two key witnesses who could not be compelled to testify. There was no legal grounds for that. In December of 2013, ironically, on a Monday, on my first day on the job, in the first 15 minutes of my employment, Julius Nyangaro, who had been the former chair of the department known as AFAM, was indicted by the Orange County District Attorney, and that started a process of discovery for the State Bureau of Investigation. That took around 2 months. At some point in that time period, the District Attorney let President Tom Ross and Chancellor Folt know that he had uncovered materials that he thought would be very beneficial to the university, finally fully understanding what had taken place. He graciously made that possible, and through a lot of work, we were able to bring in what we believe is the final investigation with a full, independent investigation led by Kenneth Weinstein, and we gave him direction to go wherever he had to go to find the answers, trace it as far back as he could, dig as deep as he needed to help us fully understand what had taken place in the past. I believe on October 22nd, that's what was delivered to us in the Weinstein report. Although we did not know what was going to be in the Weinstein report, Carol Folt had us plan for the following: to be fully transparent when we received the report. So for those of you who are following along, we had a press conference that day. We live web streamed it to anybody who wanted to see it around the world. We made that report available immediately. There were some 900 exhibits that went along with the report. They were made available immediately as well. And from that point on, we hit the road talking to as many groups that would listen to us. We are talking to the media until they finally are kicking us out of the room. We're going to make sure that people understand that we want to be transparent, and we want to engage, and we want to share as much as we can, because that's the only opportunity we have to help people understand that during that time period between when we found out about all these things in 2010 or thereabouts, and when the Weinstein report was revealed, we had already put many reforms in place. So much has already taken place. So much had taken place before that October 22nd delivery of the report. That's not to say that we're done. We still have a lot of reforms that need to be done. If you would advance the next slide, please. And we are working on this diligently in an effort to make sure that whatever we haven't covered in those reforms, we do address and completely address everything that can be out of the Weinstein report, so that we now know what we need to know fully, we can address it, and we can begin the important work of continuing to build a better Carolina. This is on our website. If you haven't had a chance to read the report, it takes you about 2.5 hours. If you have questions, I would encourage you to take some time and read it. You can find that report, summaries, all the details you need to know about the reforms that are taking place on the Carolina Commitment website. That's Carolina Commitment, carolina.unc.edu, or you can just Google Carolina Commitment. Important work. But people always ask me coming out of that Wayneston report as we've done more presentations, so how has this impacted Carolina? Do kids still want to go to school there? Do people still want to support us through their philanthropy? And those are important questions. Those are fair questions. Our own research shows 90-some% of North Carolinians believe we can get this right. But of course, you know, people vote with their applications and their acceptance in coming to Carolina. So a month after the Weinstein report, we had the biggest day ever for UNC admissions on our campus. Some 800 people took a tour or took tours around campus that day. Our early decision applications are up at a record pace. We believe that our overall applications are also going to be up at a record pace. We think that's a real important sign. We also know that our donors are continuing to give in record levels at Carolina. We think that's another important vote of confidence. But I'll bring it back to the work that's done on our campus. You know, when you talk about what really symbolizes what we do at Carolina, it's all those things, but it's also the work that really drives the connection with all of you. So I want to leave you with some work that was done by one of our students, Jeff Powell, who's from Red Oak. He used a 3D printer to make a prosthetic hand for a 7-year-old boy in Chapel Hill, which ironically was a young man I knew through people halfway around the world. I want to show you a clip because many people haven't seen this, but this is the work that's being done at Carolina every day. And I'll open it up for your questions.
In our morning rounds, Reaching for the Future, a North Carolina college student created prosthetic hands for kids. They cost a lot less than regular models. Here's the amazing part. He did it using a 3D printer. Anna Werner shows us how the invention dramatically improved life for one little boy.
Ask first grader Holden Mora how his new hand works, and he'll be happy to demonstrate.
When I bend my hand in like this, it closes. When I bend it this, it opens.
At 7 years old, he's become an expert on the workings of this novel device, made out of plastic for roughly $20.
It's an amazing $20.
It's an amazing $20.
And normally the materials cost a lot, about like $1,000.
He's right. Children like Holden, born without hands or fingers, in his case, the fingers on his left hand, often require custom prosthetic replacements costing thousands of dollars. But this inexpensive device was created by a college student using a 3D printer.
Builds it layer by layer.
Senior Jeff Powell studies biomedical engineering at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He took on the project after learning about Holden from one of his professors.
Hey, try that now.
He used instructions posted on the internet called the Cyborg Beast, then customized it. The 3D printer builds the parts in under 24 hours.
And at the end, you wind up with is this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So the way this works is it straps onto Holden's hand and onto the end of his forearm. When he moves his wrist in, the fingers close. When he moves his wrist out, the fingers open.
And do that again. Do they have grip strength? So they actually do have grip strength.
Yes.
His goal? For Holden to be able to do things the rest of us take for granted.
Nice. To be able to eat dinner while holding, a knife and a fork at the same time. Be able to grab onto his scooter or his bike with 2 hands. Maybe even, swing a baseball bat if we get it that strong enough. I don't want him to be limited by the condition that he was born with.
So this isn't just about a hand for him, is it?
No. It's about enabling him to do anything that he wants to do.
Thank you.
Holden's parents believe the impact could be even more profound.
He's less likely to be underestimated when he has a device like that. So, people won't look at him.
I just wanted you to get a sense of what's being done, but thank you for your time. I'll take some questions.